Welcome to another This Week on Disney YouTube. I got Mr. Choo Choo with me today, Mr. Theme Park Conductor. Today we are reacting to 3 videos. First, Mondo from Five Fires, good friend of the channel, both of our channels, Mr. Mondo, and 2 from Mr. Hey Bricky. We're talking about abandoned attractions at Disney. We're talking about Disneyland Paris. We're also going to talk about this massive Portos coming to downtown Disney and what the ramifications are for downtown Disney in regards to that new Portals. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. Up next, we got Conductor in the house on O. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of This Week in Disney YouTube. We've been doing a lot of these, Mr. Conductor and I. They've been a lot of fun. Y'all have been really enjoying them. Conductor, welcome back, sir.
Absolutely. It's always great to be back with the one and only Orange Go 55 with that wild, wicked hair and his past edition with those glasses looking like Clark Kent. I love
There
it.
it is.
Absolutely
There it is.
incredible. But I do have to agree with you. I think the audience loves these new reaction series that we do on your channel. So I'm so glad to be part of it. But you can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor, TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we talk about everything from Universal to Disney. And we break down, speculate, and talk rumors about the parks. It's a lot of fun. We have amazing guests like Orange Go 55, the team at Orange Go 55, and so many others. As we have an absolute blast. I just love how free and open it is, and the chat really interacts with it. So it's a blast. Come join us sometime.
100%. And I'll be linking Theme Park Conductor's channel in the description down below. And also at the time of the release of this video, you'll also be able to subscribe to him through the subscribe button due to YouTube's amazing new feature, YouTube Collabos. So you'll see it when you near the subscription button, you'll see Conductor's channel as well. All right, Mr. Theme Park Conductor, let's dive into this. We got our good friend Mondo of Five Fires. We're going to watch a little clip of this bigger video, but Disneyland update, Portos is going to be massive. And he's not kidding. The construction wall is officially up and it looked crazy. Conductor, I'm going to hit play and we'll go from there. Here we go.
Welcome to Five Fires YouTube. Today we're going to be fired up over here at Disneyland. Not already follow me on Instagram or X at the Calibre. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Fired up. I'm the main host, Mondo. Let's do this. It is a beautiful Sunday out here at Disneyland Resort, and it was crazy parking at Toy Story. I guess there's like a cheerleading competition, so that parking was impacted. I was really scared, but getting on the bus, going through security, literally walk on. I was shocked. I was like, maybe it's not that bad out here. We got lots of updates to do. Lots of updates to do in today's vlog. I'm going to try to catch some of the parades that happen at DCA and Disneyland and just keep enjoying the Christmas spirit before we're blocked out. My goodness gracious. But the first thing we're going to do, Portos. I don't doubt that these will soon enough be a relic of the past. Ticket booths.
Yeah, and Mondo's right. I mean, they're going to have some sort of physical presence in terms of where you can go and buy a ticket, or if you have an issue with a ticket or stuff like that. But this idea of having so many booths out front in the Esplanade, those days are over. We live in a new world, a digital world. A lot of stuff is on the phone. And I think that these are going to make, go the way of the dodo bird. But, we'll see. But it looks like they're making moves. What say you, Conductor?
So absolutely, I have to agree. We've talked about it many, many times how the Esplanade needs a massive, massive transformation. So this is just the beginning of that. I don't think we need to have 8. What I personally think they should do, if people want the ticket boost to kind of still feel that nostalgia, past era of, buying physical tickets if they don't want to go digital. Because, even though digital's been around for a little while now, and, it's the way 99% of the people do it nowadays. There's still that 1% that's still like that nostalgic past technology. So I've always hinted at, when you look at the front gates of the Disneyland Resort to get in, on the very far left you have Lost and Found, and then they literally dedicated one window for, to buy tickets, because the only ticket booth out of these 8 that's really operating, one's only for Dawes, and that's on the other side of this Esplanade. And I said, well, if you look at where Lost and Found is, if you keep going more to the left, they have this ginormous picnic area where, people that bring in food, they can eat it before they go into the resort. Um, I hardly ever see anyone going in that area, and it's a big footprint. So if they really honestly wanted to, they could rebuild 2 of these in that area, you know.
Yeah, that's a great idea, conductor, and you're absolutely right about that. That picnic area is rarely ever used. I mean, I think there's lockers in there, if I'm not mistaken. I
I
don't really
don't
remember.
remember if there is or not. I think it was just a dedicated, picnic area with a whole bunch of, table benches that you kind of see at an elementary school, and the, you know,
Yeah,
little patio area there for the kids.
yeah,
I don't remember if there is lockers. I don't think there is, but
gotcha.
it's just a open space that does nothing. And again, if people want to feel nostalgic, they want to buy those digital tickets, they don't want to be on their phone, then I say, hey, take 2 of these booths, build in that area, and then there you go.
Call it a day. No, you're absolutely right. That picnic area is really like kind of closed off too. So a
Yeah.
lot of people don't even really know it's even over there. And you're right, it does take up a good chunk of space. So 100%, it's definitely a waste of space, especially since you can pretty much just pick a bench and eat your sandwich out here somewhere. Like you don't need a whole picnic area for that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great point, brother. Great point.
Nobody buys tickets anymore at Disneyland, but the construction walls have now gone up over here at Porto's. Those ticket booths are behind walls and will soon be gone. And these walls stretch out that far. Look at that. Let's see how far it goes. Holy macaroni. It's wild to see finally. Look how far these walls stretch out here at downtown Disney. All the way. For me, I feel like Porto's is going to change the whole landscape of how you do Disney trips.
Yeah, and Mondo's right about that. It's gonna change the whole vibe, really, of like the Esplanade, especially, and a little bit of downtown Disney. This is and shout out to Danny of Five Fires as well, because Danny has been on OG55, like I think it was like 2 years ago at this point, talking about how the Esplanade is looking really, really run down, and he was right, and he's still right. And this Porto's project is sort of forcing Disney to like at least beautify a little chunk of that Esplanade at this point. This is gonna be a really nice building, and it's gonna really add a little bit of uh, aesthetics, at least to that little corner of the Esplanade, and it needs it. Believe me, we've said it before, conductor, on many shows. You and I, the tile work in that area between the two parks is looking really run down. The light fixtures are very outdated with the leaf designs, right? Like the old school downtown Disney stuff. It's just the Esplanade really needs to come into the modern age, and I think this Porto's project is gonna kind of usher that new era in. What say you, sir?
So no, I couldn't agree with you more, because we've talked about it, like you said, many, many, many times before, where a lot of the tiles you can walk over them, and a lot of the medallions are missing, or cracked, or broken. There's like little chunks, broken off in the cement. A lot of them, they're still there, but extremely dirty. Um, and my only question of this, since Mondo kind of, outlined it, how big this Portos is going to be, it makes me wonder during the construction of this Portos, are they going to address other areas of the Esplanade and not just this one corner? Because imagine this, imagine they build Portos, it opens, and as well as I do, because you live close to one, how busy they get
Oh man.
constantly, almost 24/7. Imagine trying to deal with the crowds of that and having more construction walls in the Esplanade between people trying to go to Portos, people trying to go into Disneyland, people trying to go into DCA, and people trying to go through, through the security checkpoint, and even people coming from downtown Disney all in this one area. And now you have Portos creating a massive congestion. You have all these construction walls that they might put up to, address other areas. I think right now would be the perfect time to wall off more areas of the Esplanade and address those issues before it
I
gets out
can
of control.
I completely agree. That's a great idea. I mean, at the very least, you're going to address this side and you're going to have to address some of the light fixtures over there on the Porto side, right? Obviously, they're going to get rid of, you can see them here. The
Yeah.
old school, like the leafy looking garden motif lighting fixtures. Obviously, those are going to go away, right?
Yeah.
So, you might as well start going into the rest of the Esplanade and start replacing a lot of those other outdated lighting fixtures, since you're going to have to do them in the Porto side anyway, and kind of keep a uniform look in that area, at least with lighting fixtures and things like that. So that's a great point, conductor. They might do that, like this, like obviously the bulk of the construction will be over here, but they might address other elements of the Esplanade to sort of make the whole thing kind of copacetic, kind of cohesive, right? Kind of vibe together. So I hope they do.
You know what's interesting? Now that I said that, maybe they'll hold off. The only reason I'm thinking is because once they start building the pedestrian bridge over harbor to connect to the Eastern Gateway, think about this: the bus load and unload area, that security zone, and at least 2 of the ticket booths, if not maybe 3 of the ticket booths over there, will be demolished to make way for that sky bridge. So maybe that's when they address it. Maybe they'll do it in sections.
That's a great point, because over on this side, they're dealing with the Porto stuff. But then you're right, for the Eastern Gateway, you're going to get onto the other side, towards that that bus area. And
Yeah.
that's when it's going to kind of encroach more on the other side of this Esplanade. So the Esplanade is definitely getting work done. It's going to be like this phased project, obviously. So for Portos, we got the Eastern Gateway, and slowly but surely, after a few years, we're going to wake up one day and, hey, we got a whole new Esplanade.
There you
I'm
go.
just curious what we're going to do with the tile work. And now I know I have a tile,
Yeah.
but they've been there since I think 2001, I believe, when they did the resort with DCA. I mean, it's time to get rid of them. I mean, and I think the contract is up anyway. I mean, I think it ran out a few years ago. They were locked in for a few years. When you bought those tiles, they had to keep them, but I think that expired years ago at this point. So Disney could get rid of them if they want to, and I do believe they will, and they should, And once all these ticket booths are removed, maybe they can start adding really cool themed elements in here, like a water fountain or something, like a water feature, or even like a cool little floral bed or something. I just think you can do a lot here to sort of kind of spruce up and kind of warm up this area. When I say warm up, I don't mean literal make it hotter. I mean just like make it more cozy, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a vast cement area. It's not the greatest, right? So they can do a lot here, and with no ticket, like with the ticket booths eventually going away, you have more room to kind of work with. So yeah, we'll see.
This is going to be the first thing you see when you're walking into Disney, and then the last thing you see before you walk into Disney. So I can just imagine how every single day this will be busy. And people are just going to travel to this Portos in general. It's like a more magical Portos. It's a Disney property.
Yeah, well, and it's funny too, because Portos, I mean, a lot of people buy Portos like in large quantities for like family parties or like business events, like corporate events and what have you. The Grand Cali, which is right there, throws a lot of corporate events in those ballrooms.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, man, this Portos is gonna make a mint on catering those kind of corporate events and stuff like that, dude. This Portos is gonna be probably this Portos, I'm calling it right now, is probably gonna be the companies like Portos, um, probably one of their best, um, performing
Oh,
locations that they have.
oh, by far. It was such a genius idea to bring Portos to downtown Disney. Now, a lot of people might disagree because they're like, "Oh, well, the the Disneyland Resort and downtown Disney is going to get extremely busy." Yeah, it's going to get extremely busy, but again, it's something that's going to benefit us later on. Because if we're seeing this type of investment into downtown Disney and the resort, that just means there's much more future brightness to come to the resort,
Yeah.
and we can't wait for it. Now on the thing that Mondo was saying, with Porto's coming, I really hope, you know, they put a lot of items on the menu that other Portos do not have. So they make this Portos very unique with their menu, which they could still have the regular menu, but I'm saying like you have a handful of only items you can get at this location. That way it kind of drives that base of, wow, I have to go travel to Disney to go experience that. That's kind of something we lost with the, Galaxy's Edge. You know, why would people from Cali like myself going in March, my first time to Walt Disney World, why would I, spend all this money, finances, time, effort to fly over there to experience Galaxy's Edge when it's a carbon copy of the one I have here? That's the same thing with this Portos. I really hope they kind of customize it with the menu so it attracts people that
Yeah.
have been to Portos, but you know, there's food items that they can't experience at other Portos. They have to experience it here.
Yeah. No, and you bring up a great point too. I've heard this argument also, conductor, where people complain about, oh my gosh, this is going to bring way too many crowds to downtown Disney. Okay, number one, downtown Disney and really the whole resort is a business. Like
Yes.
they want to make money, right? And this whole notion of like they should pull back on successful things because it's going to be an inconvenience is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like, hey, now don't take care of yourself too much and get too good looking or too, or too pretty because you might make other people intimidated or don't make too much money because you're gonna make other people feel bad. It's like, what are you talking about, right? And that's kind of how this is, where it's like, oh yeah, don't get too successful or it's gonna get too busy. What? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you want, right? You want people to come, you want it to be busy. I mean, if that's the mindset that Disneyland fans have, then why even have Indiana Jones Adventure? Oh, that's too cool of a ride. It just makes the park too busy, right? It's a silly notion. And I've heard that before too, conductor. And it's like, I don't understand that mindset.
Well, see, it's so funny you mentioned this because we all heard the exact same thing with Din Tai Fung. As soon as Din Tai Fung opened, yeah, it was busy in that area for quite some time. Now it's like at a steady level. It's still busy, but it's not out of control. And that whole area is still manageable if you want to, hang out in the, grassy part area to see a concert, or you want to go sit at Sip and say or Sip and Sonder, and or not Sip and Sonder, but that tri-level building where it has like multiple restaurants. Um,
Yeah.
it that whole area is still manageable to walk around in because people were saying the same thing about Din Tai Fung. So I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, sorry to say it, I think people kind of try to nitpick something before it actually has a chance to prove itself. And I
Right.
think we just live in that, you know, day now, like that certain time where people are just nitpicky about everything before it even has a chance. And then once it has a chance, then people that nitpicked it, they either come out and say, you know what, I was wrong, and be the bigger person, or they just don't say anything. You don't hear anything from them ever again about the subject, which I
Yeah.
find funny as hell.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. You can hear a mouse pee on a cotton ball sometimes. It's so quiet
Pretty
out
much.
there, right? It's so quiet. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Yeah, no, this is going to be a huge hit, and that's what Disney wants, and that's what Portos wants. And that's the point. To have a successful business in downtown Disney. Yes, it's going to be busy. That's why we have this massive construction wall to accommodate the demand. The one in Burbank does amazing business. The one in Northridge, the one in Northridge in the San Fernando Valley, which isn't really too far from Burbank either. That one is a fairly new location, probably maybe I'm guessing like maybe 5 years ish.
Wow.
And that building is a monster, bro, like a monster, and it's full to the brim on a daily basis. So these Portos, they're big, but they fill up. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's definitely a good decision. Downtown Disney needs good stuff. I think Universal has done a better job with their City Walk. With Slice House, we got that Korean barbecue place, which Korean barbecue, I've said before, that is money on the table. I don't know why Downtown Disney hasn't thought about that. They should. Those places are just, they make bank. City Walk is going to make bank on that location. But Downtown Disney, they need to step it up, and Portos is a step in that right direction. So we'll see how it goes. But before I move on to Hey Bricky, I want to give a big shout out to Mondo of 5 Fires. Man, he got 211,000 subs. Mondo, keep crushing it, brother. We love you. It's always good to see Mondo in the parks, whether it's Disneyland or Universal. We run in, you and I both run into him quite a bit. He's a really good dude. So is Danny. We love these guys. Support 5 Fires YouTube, because a lot of times they go live. All right. So any final words before we move on to Hey Bricky?
No, so I just want to say again, like you said, Mondo is such a wonderful content creator, such a great friend. I'm so happy that I run into him quite often in the parks, and it's always a great time. He just brings the vibe. When we talk about the vibes in the park, this guy is like he's like the original vibes guy. Like, OG, you're a vibes guy. This guy's a vibes guy. I just love it. He just like loves to hang out. I tell you what, last year when we went to Eve at Universal, this guy, oh my gosh, he had the 2 phones going, live streaming, dancing, hanging out, meeting people. I've never seen such interactions ever in my life. I've never seen it, and it was such a blast. So, for Mondo, what he does is just absolutely incredible. And then to your point about the Korean barbecue, future bar chats between me and OG are going to happen at that Korean barbecue spot. I can promise you that one.
1,000% yes. They will absolutely be there. There will be bar chats at that location. Stay tuned for that. So big shout out to Mondo. You're absolutely right, man. He's all good vibes, and he's a California content creator. Out here in California, in this Disney creation space, we're not as big out here compared to the Orlando creator market, right? Like the Disney World, like creator space, influencer space has like so many more people like creating and whatever. Out here in California, we do have a good amount, but not nearly as big as what we have in Florida. But I'm really proud of our California creators, and Mondo is absolutely one of those Cali creators that I absolutely love to death, and he's a really good guy, man. And we wish Danny and Mondo all the success. 211K subs, man. He's gonna hit 300 in no time at all. So Mondo, love you, brother. Keep up the great work. And speaking of friends and great content creators, we got Mr. Hey Bricky. Now we react a lot to Bricky here because Bricky is super nerdy and he dives into all this stuff like we do. But this particular video, he just dropped this a couple days ago. The abandoned rides still hiding inside Disneyland. This is his main channel, the Hey Bricky main channel. I'll be linking this one, Mondo's channel, and the Bricky vlog in the description down below. But you ready to react to some Hey Bricky?
Let's do it.
Here we go, dude.
Friends, you ever notice something at Disneyland that makes no sense? Like a tunnel that goes nowhere, a dock without boats, a ride platform just sitting there? These aren't mistakes. These are leftovers, pieces from Disneyland's history lost inside the park. Even in the gift shops, you can find Disneyland's past. Right here in Little Green Man Store Command, just above the shelves of Buzz Lightyear's toys, you'll find a rocket. But not just a rocket, this rocket. Because these rockets are an actual ride vehicle from Tomorrowland's Rocket Jets, the elevated spinner that once sat high above the land on its own launch tower. If you look close, the original control lever is still in there, and today it's being used as a retail display.
Here is the thing with this, right? I don't know whether I love this or whether this depresses me. So like, I don't know how I feel about it. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel about it because part of me is like, this is really cool. I'm glad they're taking elements of an old attraction and kind of incorporating them into like the newer designs, right? Like even if it's a gift shop, there's a part of me that really likes that idea. And there's a part of me that's like, wow, how fall have the mighty fallen? We had this amazing rocket jet attraction up there, you know, giving us all this kinetic energy. And now it's sitting here selling Buzz Lightyear bubble wands. It's kind of depressing too, in a way, right? Am I tripping? Well, how do you feel about it? I don't know.
No, hey, you're not wrong. You know, when I've gone into the store and seen that in the old people mover, you know, vehicles, the bottom half of them, as the counter, where you check out when you buy some merch in the store, it is depressing. I'm like, you know, I look at it and I'm like, God, don't I wish we could have the people mover. Gosh, why can't we have this back on top of the people mover? Man, I almost try to avoid going in that store unless I'm with friends and they want to go in there. I try to stay away because I'm like, it doesn't make me sad. It makes me riled up. Like I want to like complain to a cast member. So I just avoid go in that area.
I feel you. I feel you, man. I totally feel you. And in my opinion too, like I feel like Toy Story, it's a beautiful franchise. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Like Toy Story as a franchise is beautiful. But in the parks, there's something about this franchise. It's kind of like The Simpsons for me, where it's like Simpsons, the show is a great show.
Sure.
And it's great for TV and the art style and all this stuff. But for some reason, when you take Simpsons, the show, and you put it in the real world as a theme park experience, it's just kind of ugly and doesn't really work in the real world. I kind of feel the same thing about Toy Story, like the color schemes and all that. I don't know. It's just kind of ugly with the neon greens and all this stuff. Not really my thing, but that's totally just my opinion. It's just, you know, subjective, and I'm probably going to get a ton of heat in the comments for it, but there's just something about the color schemes and stuff that are just not the most attractive. And especially when you have the whole land that's like this kind of silver and blue, and then you walk into this store, it's like neon green everywhere, and like it's just kind of weird, you know.
By far.
A piece of Disneyland history now holding Buzz Lightyear action figure and Christmas ornaments. And I know that it's easy to roll your eyes with the whole exit through the gift shop thing, but this isn't just product placement. It's one of the few ways Disneyland actually lets you stand this close to its past. And just outside the store, the rocket jet left something behind way, way bigger than two of its old ride vehicles. Because if you look up that towering platform above Tomorrowland, this is where the rocket jets once used to spin. And it wasn't just a ride, it was the center of kinetic energy inside of Tomorrowland. The people mover loaded and unloaded underneath it while the jets soared above it. It created movement in the sky, layers of motion, exactly the kind of detail that made Tomorrowland not only feel alive, but futuristic. The rocket jets debuted in 1967, part of Walt's push to give Tomorrowland real optimism. Built on top of the People Mover station, the ride was bold, dramatic, and a little intimidating. You had to take a bright orange elevator up to the platform. And for a lot of kids, that meant being brave, like the astronauts they looked up to. Once you reached the top, you'd board your rocket and spin around a Saturn V-inspired tower, a sleek space-age symbol of where the future was headed. But in 1998, Disneyland decided the future belonged on the ground. The rocket jets were removed, and a new version, Astro Orbiter, was installed at the entrance to Tomorrowland. The change didn't just move the ride down a few stories, it traded vision for congestion. What once demonstrated how Disneyland could stack attractions vertically to solve space issues became a street-level spinner that clogs Tomorrowland's main entrance. A ride that once showed us the future of the theme park design now just adds to the crowd. The old
Yeah, no, he's 100% right on that. It does add to a lot of congestion walking into Tomorrowland. It creates that awkwardness of going left or right, but not in a good way.
No.
It's like an in the way kind of approach. I don't know. I've never liked that. There were a lot of design mistakes that were incorporated into the new Tomorrowland. Another big one, because we have right now, I stopped it right here. The People Mover track. Obviously, the People Mover was a slow moving attraction that went through all of Tomorrowland, right? So for a slow moving attraction, this platform worked perfectly because it was purpose built to have a slow omni mover style thing on top of it. But when they redid Tomorrowland in 98, they were like, yeah, let's do rocket rods and let's make the attraction fast and go and zip through Tomorrowland, which, okay, that's a cool idea. But the problem with that is that they didn't bank the turns. Like if you notice, like when you ride a roller coaster, the turns are banked, so you can maintain your speed, right? With this, they kept it flat, so every time you hit a turn, the rocket rods would have to slow down. So the minute the ride started getting fun, the thing came to a screeching halt to slow down and make the turn. It was just bad design work. It was just, at the time, we had a really, really horrible president of the resort, Paul Pressler, and there was just not a lot of money being funneled into these projects. And I know Tony Baxter was frustrated, but yeah, this Tomorrowland 98 was an absolute mess. And it's just bad. Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this, since you mentioned that, because and I think even Bricky talked about it in a video he did a long time ago, was that the reason why, or one of the reasons why the 98 remodel of our Tomorrowland got shortcut and just, horribly redone is because the Walt Disney Company at the time pumped a lot of money into Euro Disney, which is AKA Disneyland Paris, and it flopped.
Yep.
So that's why Tomorrowland, one of the big reasons why the remodel was not done right. Because when you look at Tomorrowland and Walt Disney World, a lot of people say, oh, the Walt Disney World Tomorrowland needs so much help. I'm like, they need so much help? Are you sure about that? Where you hit on the head earlier on? If you come out here to the West Coast and you see our Tomorrowland, you wouldn't be saying that, because one of the things I like over there that they did with their People Mover when they originally built it was I don't know the full layout of it, but even looking at this right now, what they could have done with ours is kept the straight line, and then when it veers off, one of the things I like at Walt Disney World, the tracks kind of go right next to the buildings, and it's like on the outside of the buildings, and it just like literally faces the buildings as it goes. So it never goes inside of a building that I know of, and it stays on the outside, but it's literally right next to the building. So the tracks are not in the way. And actually, I think the track supports are actually attached to the building. So that's just more room to walk around in their Tomorrowland.
No, 100%. And their Tomorrowland, you're right, is way better than ours. And I know a lot of Floridians are, oh, our Tomorrowland needs help too. It does, but it's not urgent. I mean, you guys just got Tron. You guys have Carousel of Progress. You're getting a Walt Disney animatronic in the Carousel of Progress. So that's even getting a refresh. You have the People Mover still.
Yeah.
I think Disney World's Tomorrowland is
It-
not a huge like it's not on the short list, in my opinion, of
No.
problems at Disney World. There's a lot of other issues at Disney World, and the Tomorrowland is not really on that short list, in my opinion. You know?
No, because they also have the rocket jets on top of their people mover.
Exactly.
They kept it, and they never got, and this is another sign of Euro Disney. They put, you know, the oh my gosh, Astro Orbiter on the ground in front of the entrance, which you said and makes perfect sense. Massive congestion, and
Right.
I hate it walking around it. Then they have a ugly ass construction wall to the left that kind of hides the mechanics of that attraction. They have concept art that they probably replaced about almost 10 times now because it keeps getting sun faded. And on top of that, then you have two Tomorrowland signs on either side. I think one of them got hit by a construction vehicle and has never been the same. Then when you walk in on the right side, the Star Tours, I think another construction vehicle hit it because you can see on the bottom of it, it's all dented on the bottom. It's like,
Oh
and
gosh.
you guys talk about in Florida, your Tomorrowland needs help. Good Lord, no way.
Yeah, no. Disneyland Tomorrowland is horrendous, and it needs work like today.
Launch tower, it's still up there, empty and sadly waiting, like all of us, for what comes next. If Disney ever wanted a quick Tomorrowland win, one that was nostalgic, visually bold, and architecturally smart, putting the rocket jets back where they belong would make a statement because the platform is still there. It's just the energy that's missing. But sadly, as we've seen over the years, Tomorrowland has just become a place full of what could have been. Just steps away from where the rocket jets once did their spin, there's another abandoned flight path inside of Disneyland. The Disneyland Skyway. Oh, do I wish it would come back. It used to glide above Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. But what's surprising is that the ride isn't totally gone. There's still a couple of pieces left, and ultimately, there's a potential. I mean, this one would still be possible.
The only issue I have with the Skyway, I'm going to respectfully disagree a little bit with Bricky here. I don't know. The Skyway, it feels a little OC fair to me. And maybe they can rework. Obviously, they probably would rework the sky buckets to make them look more modern or whatever. But
Sure.
I don't know. I always felt like that. I always felt like it felt very carny, like very carnival, very OC fair-ish to have that running through Disneyland.
Sure.
It also went through Fantasyland and, you know, going through, I don't know. For me, I felt like the Skyway was a little bit of an eyesore, in my opinion. Now, I completely understand, and I'm completely self-aware that this is a minority opinion. Most fans are going to agree with Bricky. They would want it to come back. For me personally, I just felt it just feels like an off-the-shelf kind of thing. I don't know, in my opinion, but maybe my mind would change on it. Maybe if they redesigned the vehicles and what have you, and made them look. I mean, maybe I would be on board with it, but it just felt a little bit cheap looking to me. I don't know, but what say you, conductor?
So I have to say, you know, I wouldn't mind it coming back. My only biggest fear is, sorry to say this, but people are, I'm trying to think of the word I want to use here. Very irresponsible.
Yes.
And if they don't build the sky buckets correctly, I could see people doing some very stupid, very risky, very dangerous things.
Yeah.
So if I had to choose between the sky buckets coming back or the people mover coming back retrofitted, I think I would want the people mover 10 out of 10 times.
Oh, me too. If Disney came to me and was like, "Hey, OG, what do you want? You want the People Mover or the Skyway?" I would say People Mover 1,000%. Because number one, I think the People Mover is more accessible to everybody. I mean, very few people are intimidated by the People Mover, right? Like your grandma can go on that, and your 6-year-old can go on that.
Yeah.
The Skyway buckets are, and I said this about the gondola system running through Anaheim. I do believe those systems are cool, but I do believe there is a little bit of a barrier to entry with those things where there's going to be people that are like, nah, I don't really want to dangle 100 feet off the ground on a cable, So I think the people mover is more like an everybody thing. So yeah, 1000% bring the people mover back. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, if they ever did bring the Skyway back, and maybe they redesign those Skyway buckets and they make them like little mini, like the Skyliner, like more modern, and they look kind of cool. Maybe my opinion would change. I'm open to having my mind changed, but I just, as they were before, though, the way they looked before, they just felt kind of cheesy to me, but
Not probable, but possible. If you walk through Tomorrowland and you know where to look, you'll pass right by it. The old loading area, it's still available, and some of it is intact, sitting above the old Tomorrowland hat shop that sits just outside the Tomorrowland restrooms. Right back in here, there's no sign, there's no railings, and parts have definitely been removed. But this is just where the lost pieces of the Skyway begin. There's lost parts of the attraction all along its flight trail. And just outside Toad Hall, there's a little area where a tree stands, but this was once a Skyway support tower holding up the cable that floated all across Fantasyland. And if you keep going, just before you reach the end of Fantasyland, you'll spot a locked gate and a set of stairs that today lead to nowhere. But once, they led to the future. The stairs used to be the entrance to the Fantasyland Skyway Chalet, a hand-carved alpine station that stayed intact long after the ride closed. We're talking decades. For years, it stood quietly behind these trees. No signage, no access, just there, quietly fading into the background, only remembered by those that knew that it was hiding back there. Until Disney finally tore it down during the construction of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. This was the last noticeable piece. But even without the stations, even without the buckets, the Skyway's path still lingers. The Skyway debuted in 1956, less than a year after the park opened. At the time, it was quite a marvel, a chance to float above Disneyland, drifting peacefully between the lands. But in 1959, Disneyland made history. They built the Matterhorn, and right through the center of it, two cave-like openings, specifically designed to let the Skyway pass through the center. For a generation of guests, that was the moment where you weren't just taking a ride across the park, you were flying through a mountain. It wasn't fast, it wasn't thrilling, but it was perfect. A design detail so confident and so charming, it made the whole park feel more alive. And then, in November of 1994, it was gone. The official reason given was metal fatigue, claiming that the beams inside the Matterhorn were wearing down. While this may be true, it's not hard to wonder if Disneyland had simply moved on. Other evidence proves that the cheap Paul Pressler era had just began its quest to save as much money as possible. And with Indiana Jones just saving up, they wanted to reroute their park budget. I made an entire documentary about it. I'd strongly suggest to check it. I think it's one of my best. But during this time, the buckets were removed, the holes in the mountain were patched, and the stations slowly disappeared. Piece by piece, the Skyway was erased. Well, almost erased. Let me explain what makes this one just a little bit different than some of the others on today's list. Because like all the other attractions on this list, this one could still come back. It could return. The route still exists. The technology is better now. And the idea of gliding through the park again would feel more magical than ever. But the odds are incredibly slim. I mean, the slimmest. Because Tomorrowland's problem runs deeper than one missing ride. And the next story shows what happens when Disneyland tries to bury its mistakes. A peaceful little area wedged between It's a Small World and the Matterhorn. Normally a quiet pond, but always a shaded spot. But friends, this isn't a garden, it's a grave for a dead attraction. With pieces still lost inside of Disneyland, this once was home to a full attraction, complete with boats, a queue, and a dock.
It really is kind of sad, though, how much kinetic energy we lost. I mean, between the people mover, the Skyway, the motorboats, I mean, there's just so much kinetic energy in this land that is just completely gone now. You're a little younger than me, but do you remember any of this stuff, Conductor?
I do. I was super young. But several of the attractions I do remember is the People Mover, the Skyway buckets, and I think I do remember the motorboat cruise area. And it is kind of sad, you know. Obviously Walt Disney, one of his famous, words were, "Hey, Disneyland is always evolving. It's
Right.
always changing." But when you call a land Tomorrowland, I don't know. And you talk about its future and invention and all that, and then you kind of get rid of that energy, then what's left to call it Tomorrowland?
No, no, I know. It's ironic, isn't it, Conductor? Like Tomorrowland and a lot of these relics, these relics of the past are in Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
It feels like yesterday land.
Yeah, no, 100%. And one of the things that I I don't want to add insult to injury, but when they built Tomorrowland, they built Disneyland, they were trying to be innovative, which is
Right.
nothing wrong with that, by
No.
building multiple attractions, either close by or connected to each other on top of one another, and the problem with something like this, where we're watching the motorboat cruise area, which again was once an attraction. They can't just annex that lake there that used to be for that attraction, because that body of water actually feeds other areas of the Disneyland Resort for
Yep.
their water areas, including Tom Sawyer's Island, and that's how it was built originally in 1955. So again, it's kind of like they were trying to be smart when they built Disneyland, but it's now shooting them in the foot now in today's time.
Right. There's a lot of there, and that's why Tomorrowland has largely been untouched, because it's not that Disney doesn't have the money or doesn't, it's just that there's so much going on here. Bricky did a great video recently about how Tomorrowland is so interconnected. We have the People Mover track running through literally every attraction. Of all those buildings, you have this body of water which is connected to other bodies of water. It's all woven together, and what once was Tomorrowland's biggest selling point, which was the interconnectivity of it all and the kinetic energy, is now the biggest thing holding it back, which is ironic. But you would really have to go in here and like bulldoze everything, kind of rebuild from the ground up and kind of figure this out. But again, that's hard to do when you have the second busiest theme park in the world, like this, a frog's hair away from Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's a tough call. I mean, eventually they're going to have to address Tomorrowland, but I don't know what they're going to do.
That I'm sure you've spent a quiet afternoon on at least once or twice. And if you haven't, I highly recommend giving it a shot. This is one piece of what remains of the motorboat cruise, but it's not the only part of the attraction that still exists if you know where to look. The motorboat cruise was a gentle water ride that lasted more than 3 decades, and then quietly it disappeared, but left a quiet space in its absence. The old loading dock that still sits along the edge of the water with a green canopy, it hasn't changed in years. Used today as a shaded seating area, but look closely, the shape of the railings, the placement of the cleats, this once was a real ride station. Next time you're riding on the monorail or through Utopia, if you look closely, you can see the canal that once fed in to this dock. Now, most of it's been drained or landscaped over, but there's still areas where the dry riverbed follows the old route, where if you pay attention, you can see the shape of the water's edge. Remind yourself every time you cross over a bridge inside of Utopia, you are driving over the river where the motorboat cruise once would float beneath you. And this wasn't just a small ride. It was a sprawling piece of Fantasyland that now sits frozen in place, lost inside the park. The motorboat cruise opened in 1957, just 2 years after Disneyland itself. It was simple. Guests boarded tiny motorboats and steered through a winding canal. The boats were gas-powered but ran along a hidden guided track. a waterway cousin to Utopia, but slower and way less crowded. It wasn't thrilling, but it was charming. And in the 90s, Disney tried to revive the interest by overlaying the ride with a short-lived Disney afternoon theme, renaming the motorboat cruise to Gummy Glen.
It's funny. My biggest memory of this attraction is the Gummy Glen version.
Yeah.
I was big when I was, because at the time of the Disney afternoon, I was that demographic. I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Sure.
So I was all into the Disney afternoon. I absolutely loved it. And I remember when they transformed it. Now it was kind of cheap, I will admit. Like it, you know, you would go through and there'd be like literal like wooden flat pieces of the character just sitting on the water's edge and stuff like that. It was kind of cheesy, and you can even tell from here it's kind of cheesy, but it was a temporary overlay and it was kind of cool. But yeah, man, the Disney afternoon stuff was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Yeah, it was cool. Really a lot of fun.
It didn't help. In 1993, the ride quietly shut down. Its path left untouched, its dock left standing, and its space completely underutilized. While the rest of Fantasyland evolved, this little corner was left to rest in limbo, lost in the park, waiting for a future to guide it back to life. To me, this spot has always felt like it was holding its breath. Because to me, the motorboat cruise has always felt like the first crack in a much bigger space and a much larger plan.
You know, and I said this before, and it would require a significant amount of investment. But this area, this motorboat cruise area, along with Autopia and even the submarine lagoon, that whole stretch, which is a big piece of property, if you were to reroute the monorail, which that's the big kicker, because I don't know if Disney wants to spend the money to do that. But if you were to reroute the monorail, this would have been the optimal, perfect spot for Pandora. And I know a lot of Disney purists will tell me, oh my gosh, OG, how could you say that? But it really is. I mean, Avatar as a franchise is that perfect bridge, that perfect segue between fantasy and the future. And it kind of, the movies straddle both of those themes, you know what I'm saying? So it would have been a perfect spot for a Pandora. And one of the biggest issues, now you wouldn't have the issue with the waterways because you would obviously have water there. But one of the big issues with fans and getting rid of, and the idea of getting rid of the subs is losing that body of water or losing that, you know, beautiful aesthetics. Well, if you put Pandora here, you're not going to lose any aesthetics. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be gorgeous. And you're going to have plenty of water and rock work and all that stuff. So it would have been a cool spot for it. And an easier fit, I think, thematically, than where they're trying to put it now in DCA. But c'est la vie, man. I mean, it's not going to happen. But I think that would have been the perfect spot. It would have cost them a lot because you would have had to take out Autopia and the subs and reroute the monorail, which is probably why they didn't do that. But I think theme-wise, it would have been better, you know?
Yeah, but see, now that you said that with Pandora, if we ever, and I mean ever, got the World of Arendelle, that Paris is soon to open in 2026, they're going to have to do that anyway. And you and I and even Bricky can agree at this point going forward that Tomorrowland, the lagoon area, the monorail track, the Autopia area, it needs restructuring. It needs to just be bulldozed to the ground and start over. So eventually that area is going to be addressed. I don't know. I'm not too sure why they are pushing this more and more off. And now the theory that is kind of popping in my mind is, one is if Avatar, since Avatar is going into the Hollywood backlot, could this be the catalyst that we see that's going to jumpstart DCA, Disney California Adventure, being renamed to a new name, and they are waiting until after the 2028 Summer Olympics? That's going to just bring in millions of people from all over the world in our little Southern California for 2.5 weeks. I wonder if they're waiting until after that. Then we're going to start seeing a lot of construction and a lot of Epcot Wall City construction
Yeah.
everywhere.
Hope so. I really, really hope so, conductor. I really, really do.
Because if you zoom out, this stretch of land is one of the park's largest undeveloped spaces in the entire footprint of Disneyland. The submarines, Autopia, and the motorboat cruise, all three attractions share a space the same size as Toontown, also the same size of Main Street USA and all of its shops. A land worth of space quietly sitting inside the berm of Disneyland. One day, when it comes back to life, will it be a part of Fantasyland? Will it still remain part of Tomorrowland? Or will it be imagined as something completely different? Either way, this attraction is on the front lines of Disney's biggest theme park renovation ever. When it happens, nobody knows. But today, it's just a leftover dock, a quiet place to hang out, and a drained riverbed that once promised something much more. And if you think a drained river inside of a theme park not being used is strange, wait till you see our final story.
Now, I just want to pause it right here. And it just bears repeating because not everyone watches every single video that we do, right?
Sure.
Bricky is a brilliant content creator. Okay. And I'm not just trying to gas him up because he's our friend. I mean this. I mean, he really, the way he lays out these videos and the way he dives into this stuff like nobody else does. I love this stuff, man. I love this stuff. And as a nerd, like, okay, Bricky isn't for the normies. Like the normies aren't going to watch Bricky, but for the diehard nerds like you and me and like, you know, our circle and like the diehards that you see out there, this is like the red meat of all red meat. We love this stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's fantastic. He does a great job with it, you know?
No, but no, by far. And I think personally for me, Bricky, David from Fresh Baked, Mondo, you know, for us smaller channels, we learn a lot from them. We really, really honestly do. Like, for example, like you mentioned Bricky, you know, it's just, I've never seen, and I'm being serious, I've never seen, you know, a content creator, whether it's in our community with theme parks, or it's just some other, you know, some other, you know, thing that they're covering topic wise. I've never seen someone go into so much detail, break down what their opinions are, what could we see, what are we seeing, and really dive into the past. Because you know it's funny, you know, we hung out with Bricky, I think, over the summer for the Disneyland 70th, and we were all at the Plaza Inn, and I was just like, I'm not even kidding, and I don't want to sound kiddish here, but I was like almost like, how can you put it, like, you know, since it's the holiday season, I'm going to use this reference. Like I was a kid listening to Santa Claus tell the Christmas story and just soaking it all in. And that's how Bricky really was kind of, I was getting the vibes off of him by him explaining all this stuff. Cause I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense. This makes sense. And, you know, just the amount of detail he goes into his videos and the research he does in his videos when he has so many other things to, you know, to do in his life, other videos. He does, not media events, but he does, like conventions and whatnot. He does a lot of other stuff. So the fact that he takes time out to go to Disneyland, to do the research, to put these videos together bi-weekly is just absolutely phenomenal.
No, 100%. No, it is. It is. It's great. And, you know, now I don't mean any disrespect to any other creators, but like a lot of Disney content creators, they'll go out there and they'll do a lot of like the food stuff and like, you know, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But not a lot of them do what you and I do and what Bricky does, right? Where we're like, we deep dive into this nerdy stuff, like super nerdy stuff, right? And so it's kind of cool to like, you know, to kind of break this stuff down with like-minded people and have that opportunity to do that, because there's not a whole lot of us that really do the deep dive like you, myself, and Bricky and other. You know what I'm saying? So it's rare, right?
It's
So,
very rare.
it's fun though. I love it.
There's an entire dead ride sitting inside of Disneyland, not being used, just sitting, collecting dust, or more like moss. Let's head to Frontierland and walk through the ghost of an entire lost plot of land that could easily come back to life as an attraction today. One of the last undeveloped spaces where a new attraction and a new future could easily pop up. Friends, today's video is brought to you by my friends at Avaron. You don't have to go to the parks as much as I do to already know the deal, that long days at the park require lots of walking. And the only way to make the most of your day, especially if you're trying to keep up with your kids or grandkids, is to stay active in between visits. That's where I really come to love my Avaron treadmill, because it rewards consistency. I don't need to run. I'm not training for anything. I just walk, and walk a lot. And doing that every day has made a huge difference in how I feel when I'm at the park. And what makes it fun is how easy it is to stay entertained. I'll watch YouTube, catch up on creators I miss. I throw on a walking POV filmed at one of the parks in Anaheim, Orlando, Paris, or even Asia if I'm feeling spicy. And boom, what do you know? It feels like I'm walking through the park, even though I'm at home in California, getting my steps in. And this makes time and steps go by without me even noticing. I'm at 60 plus days of hitting my step goal of over 6,500 steps every single day. Avaron has all these fun interactive games if you're a gamer, but for me, it's become simple, an enjoyable way to get my steps in and stay ready for those next long park visits. Paris, here I come. So if you want to build a habit that makes your next park trip feel even better, check out Avaron using the link in the description below or clicking on this QR code. Thank you so much to Avaron for sponsoring today's video and for making my next park trip even more enjoyable. Most guests rushing through Frontierland don't even realize they're walking through one of Disneyland's largest extinct attractions. But it's still here, and it's all around you. If you just know where to look, the pieces lost inside the park are easy to find again. Because friends, this isn't just a queue for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's the bones of another ride. A quieter one, a slower one, from a stranger time inside of Disneyland. I'm talking about the mine train through nature's wonderland. Look past Big Thunder Mountain and you'll start to see pieces of it all around. Across from Big Thunder, there's a small tunnel carved into the rockwork. It's an original mine tunnel from the 1950s ride layout. Follow Big Thunder Trail and you'll pass a pond, one that's oddly shaped, once with water effects that today would feel out of place. That's because it was never built for Big Thunder. It was built for nature's wonderland, and it's still there, although no longer running, and a lot of the effects have been just recently turned off. Yeah, bad news if you haven't been to the park for a while. Jumping fish, they're not jumping anymore. When you float past this land on the other side of the hill, you can still see the railroad track. You can spot its path and even the base for its peak icon, Cascade Peak. See these right here? Those used to be waterfalls. Not no more. There's also a missing mountain that Disney traded for a pile of dirt. Watch this video that I made and you'll fully get the details of how they let an icon rot away because they didn't want to pay for landscaping. But back to this chapter. And if you look up at the hills above Big Thunder's queue, you'll see a cluster of old wooden buildings, a tiny western mining town perched above the action. That's Rainbow Ridge. And it wasn't made for Big Thunder either. It was part of the original Nature's Wonderland show scene. And Disney never tore it down. They just kind of slid it around a little bit because underneath the thrills of Big Thunder is buried what Walt built. The story should end there, but it doesn't, because unlike most rides that get bulldozed or repurposed, Nature's Wonderland was never really removed. The mine train.
You know, it's interesting, Conductor, because in Tomorrowland, a lot of the old stuff is bad show, right? You have a rotting people mover track. You have, you know, stuff like that, where it's unsightly for a land themed to this optimistic, you know, view of the future. But in Frontierland, to have like an old mine and to have like a weathered train kind of just sitting there, it kind of works. It kind of, I mean, this particular thing kind of works to have it shut down and kind of have those themed elements kind of still chilling there. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I think it's actually really, really, really cool to have that there. It's kind of sad that they got rid of it. You know, I don't know though, because you know, when you think about old Western town, and you kind of start, you know, getting into that theming, you know, even though you have Thunder Mountain and Rainbow Ridge, that's part of that now. You know, it kind of screams to me, you know, Knott's Berry Farm vibes. You know,
Oh,
I
but
kind of feel that Western type of theming fits better over there. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise they got rid of this, and they just built Thunder Mountain and then just didn't continue after that. But then again, you know, I kind of like this though, because I feel like, you know, I kind of feel like the old school Disney was pretty awesome, because we
yeah,
really got to see, you know, WDI, or as they were called back then, WED,
yeah,
WED, you know, engineers, you know, build this stuff. And I thought it was pretty cool. Now
yeah,
it just seems like every time they build something, there's restrictions. It's stripped down from what they originally said, and for whatever god awful reason, because they throw so much technology and stuff into these modern day attractions, you have this big, ugly show building.
yeah, yeah. No, every time with the big ugly show buildings, you know, like even like Indiana Jones. I mean that massive green building that you can see from when when you come in from the tram, you
Yeah,
know, it's like, yeah, that's the one thing about the modern era that's kind of like, right? Like
yeah.
all these big boxy buildings everywhere.
Nature's Wonderland opened in 1960 as an expansion of the original Rainbow Caverns from 1956. It wasn't a thrill ride, it was an immersive journey through the American wilderness, forests, deserts, waterfalls, and caves. Guests boarded slow moving mine trains and traveled past animatronic bears, beavers, and deer, then through a glowing cave system called Rainbow Caverns, one of the most ambitious scenic illusions ever built at the time. This was Disneyland's answer to the scenic railroads and natural wonders, part education, part fantasy, and part of Walt Disney's true life adventures that had made him famous. But by the mid 1970s, it felt outdated. Disneyland was leaning into thrill rides, Space Mountain was on its way, and Nature's Wonderland, for all its beauty, just didn't move fast enough anymore. So in 1977, the mine train closed, but the landscape, it stayed. The track was torn out, but some left behind. And in its place, Disney built something louder, something more thrilling, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Strangely, it was built around, not on top of it, but all around it, with respect, preserving this plot of land. Because, friends, the pond, the tunnel, the rockwork, and the forgotten mines are all still here, which also means so is the land. Unlike the Astrojets, Skyway, and motorboats, that their space is all tied into the future of Disneyland's Tomorrowland, this one is tied into nothing. This could be reimagined as part of Rivers of America, because there once was a plan to park the boats and make this area its own land, Discovery Bay. So unlike the other stories tied into a complicated future, this could be the easiest attempt to finally finish Frontierland as a multi-attraction land. And if you want to know the true potential of this plot of land, make sure you watch this video right here, where I show how a version of Tower of Terror was almost placed right here. This is one of the only unused expansion pads that still exist inside the berm of Disneyland. Something fantastic.
So go
Oh,
ahead,
go.
conductor.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I'm so glad they didn't build the Tower of Terror here. But my thing is, Bricky's absolutely right. There's nothing tying this in, so they could build something like a Discovery Bay. I wouldn't mind seeing that. My only gripe is, what do they do with Phantasmic? do they build a outdoor amphitheater that Walt Disney World has for their Fantasmic? Or do they just annex Fantasmic altogether?
Yeah, it's a tough call. Anytime you kind of move in on that island, that's a great point. What do you do, right? What do you do? And yeah, there was an idea. Actually, that was a great video. It was a while back now. I think maybe about a year ago. Bricky did a video on that Tower of Terror kind of attraction. It was
Yeah,
actually, it was called, I think it was called Geyser Mountain.
I
And
think so.
you're right. It was Geyser Mountain, and you get shot up and then come back down or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, that never happened. And I think part of it was going to be put where Galaxy's Edge is right now, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
a,
But
a little part of it. But see, then this is the controversy that we see, though, because if you think about it, that island has a lot of history with
yeah,
Walt himself, his family, and just the company in general, compared to its counterpart in Orlando, which really doesn't have that history. Ours does have the history. So if they touch that for something like a Discovery Bay, they better have a really good damn reason for touching that, because a lot of people like us Disney nerds are not going to be happy with that. But
well,
then
and
again, we're not happy with the broken effects on the island either. So
right. That's a great point, conductor. That's a great point. And I think the whole notion, I think Discovery Bay was very much a 90s era thing, because I think back in the 90s, I think Disney was willing to sort of do a mix of like non-IP and IP things. Michael Eisner had much more of a desire to sort of have that mix in there. I don't think modern Disney is interested in that. I don't think they're willing to do a whole land or an area based on something that isn't a movie. And there really isn't a whole lot of movie tie-ins you can put in that land. I mean, you can technically put like maybe Treasure Planet, but we all know how Treasure Planet did and how viable of a franchise that is overall. So yeah, I think those days are pretty much over, you know. I think if they were to ever touch the island at all, it would be some sort of franchise. Maybe Coco, but they're doing Coco and DCA because you can do the Spanish stuff tied into Frontierland. But yeah, Discovery Bay, it was Tony Baxter's baby, and it was really, really cool, but those days are over. I mean, I just don't see it ever returning. There's no IP,
no,
and the new era is all IP. So unfortunately. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna start a new video. This is also Bricky, but it's a secondary channel, the Bricky Vlog. I believe this was his first time at Disneyland Paris. It says here, right? I think it was his first time. How is Disneyland Paris even more magical than Disneyland? Let's see what he has to say. This is actually my first time watching this. Have you seen this one?
nope.
Here we go. Take it away, Bricky.
Good morning, friends. It is Saturday, December 13th, and I have made it to Disneyland Paris for my second time,
Oh,
and kind of my first time since I got into doing all of this. And I've really been going deep into understanding the Walt Disney and the Disneyland story. It's no over-exaggeration. This is the most beautiful of all the castle parks that Disney directly owns. Talking about Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Disneyland back home in Anaheim, and Disneyland Paris. The grand opening through here with the fountains, the multiple levels, so everybody can take their photos.
oh my God.
It is well thought out, but hey, third time's a charm, right? And there's literally, so far, construction pretty much everywhere that I look. So going to be a fun walk around the park, where today I'm going to break down the design of Disneyland Paris and also the final days of Walt Disney Studios. So unfortunately, I cannot get over to this gazebo, but as you look around the grand entryway that leads into a hotel, let's break down what we're looking at here. So as I count it, there are 4 different lanes to take people up to the grand entryway. What that's going to do is break up people mentally in which way feels most comfortable to them. Therefore, instead of having one large flow of people, you're going to probably have 25% of the people going in a different direction. Then it's multi-level, So you get to actually have lots of different photo spots. So everybody kind of gets a fair share. That again is going to make things move way more efficiently. And it's absolutely beautiful that the first thing that you do is you go down a hill. So essentially, are we on the berm or is the park in the berm? So we'll see how that works. And when you first come in, there.
And I will say out the gate, the thing I love about what I've seen, I've never been to this park or this resort, but what I've seen, especially, of the Disneyland park proper in Paris, they really did a good job. And this was Tony Baxter, but like Tony and that team really did a good job at like kind of harnessing what made Disneyland so special, because Disneyland is a very charming, warm park. It feels very cozy. It feels very like home. And one of my issues that I have with like Magic Kingdom and a lot of that kind of those parks is that they feel very grand, but you lose that coziness, and they really tapped into that Disneyland coziness in a big way. And you're seeing it even before you're in the park right here. It's absolutely beautiful.
There's this amazing little statue. And what people don't realize is this is already a hub that divides people in half. And then when they get divided in half, they have more decisions to make. So let's do the math. 100% of the people go 50% in each direction. Then those 50% choose their own proprietary path or stop for photos. Therefore, you have taken all of the people that are coming in and you have instantly dispersed them in all these different directions, making it to where the gates have a slow trickle of people versus a mad rush. Genius. Giving people the ability to take the high road, the low road. I don't know why I showed those backwards, because my brain is on the tired road. And on the other side, I couldn't get over to that beautiful gazebo, but they mirrored the pattern with this other little lookout spot, which I'm here to look out. I'm not passing any of these up. Oh, here comes the music. So they have aggressively cranked up the music, but you just get these little lookout spots here, which are probably used for weddings and different little events. But as for me, I love just all the different vantage points. And I assume during the warmer months, this creek actually is running all around it. But just look at how beautiful this little park space is, right? We see a adorable park.
And this is what I want to see when they eventually build a third park at Disneyland. This integration of like themed spaces with like the hotel and all that, because you're going to have to do a design like this in any third gate, because you're going to be limited in space. You're only going to have about 70 plus acres to kind of work with. And you're going to want a hotel too. So they should definitely look into some kind of design where you have the hotel kind of circling the perimeter of the new park and kind of weave it into the new park like this is, or even like how the Fantasy Springs, how that hotel's tied into that land. But this might be, and he might get into it, but he might even get into it in this video. I'm not really sure, but this might be kind of like a little bit of a blueprint, what they can do for our third gate out here in Anaheim. I would love that.
Park space, a little hangout space. This little bridge over here that these folks are getting ready to cross. This is by far the best entryway I've ever seen at a Disney park. I haven't been to the Asia parks yet, but it's coming. And I just think if I was a local hanging out in this little park waiting for our friends to show up, I could hang out here for hours. And that's going to be a theme of today's video as well, because you will hear me break down, if this were my home park, how I could envision that I would use it and abuse it. Our far right end, we have this bridge where you can see hotel traffic going back and forth, people in their Christmas outfits, and just a couple of little benches here where you can just check out the vibe, which I love to check out the vibe. After being at Tivoli Gardens just 2 weeks ago, I see a lot of that influence poured into Disneyland Paris. But this hotel really does create a beautiful welcoming moment. Distinctly Disney, has the kind of crossover of American architecture with France's eye for detailing. And of course, who doesn't love a good Mickey watch. And all underneath it, it has a beautiful arcade, not too different than the one that you see in the tunnels when you go into the Magic Kingdom, just on a much, much larger scale. And then the welcome sign has that instant Disney feeling to it. The little popcorn lights, the typography, the flourishes filling out every little space, like just says Disney without having to say Disney. Truly does feel welcoming. I hope you nerds are ready to look at some details, because I'm going to go low and slow, like these doors. So I didn't film it because I don't want to start my day by getting kicked out. But I think there's like a protest going on in the opening of the park where it looks like there's maybe maintenance workers that have, you hear the drum beating? That's them banging on garbage cans, and there's trash literally everywhere. Yeah, there's trash everywhere, and they're just like banging on the drums in some sort of, I'm assuming, protest. Yeah, so that was my first opening into the park. That's a little bit different. Not going to film it. Don't want to get in trouble, but that is wild. So Frosty on one side of me and a Disney entryway covered in trash behind me. You know, I'm always going to side with workers, so I hope they get what they're looking for. All right, back to Fantasyland. I am loving these little snowmen greeting us with the Christmas trees. And then, oh, there's City Hall. And she's a big gal. Oh, yeah. These trees are so perfectly.
Yeah, that City Hall is huge, and it looks really cold out there, man. As a Californian, I don't know if I can hang with the weather, but I would do it for sure to visit this amazing park. But
by far,
it looks cold, really cold.
Put together, and after touring around Europe for the last 2 weeks, these trees make so much more sense to me because they literally feel like there's a little bit of an elevated version of what you would see at the Christmas markets. Right now, that City Hall clock is making a hidden Mickey with the two balls at the end of the hour and minutes hand. But another beautiful City Hall founded in 1879. I wonder what that year has to do with this. Now, we don't get a Main Street train station per se like we have back home, but we do get this nice train station all across the front, and it's absolutely beautiful. All right, going to keep my camera high.
You know, it's interesting, the design work with the Paris park, in that it is bigger. It feels bigger than Disneyland in Anaheim, but they didn't go big and kind of like, I know this is going to sound really harsh, but I feel like Magic Kingdom is a little bit on the soulless side. It's a little cold for me. Like, this is bigger, but yet it maintains the coziness that Disneyland has. It's like the best of both worlds. Are you kind of feeling that too, Conductor, a little bit?
I am. You know, I really kind of feel that when they built Disneyland, it was a stepping stone to what this park is today. And I really do feel like that. And from pictures and videos, and then obviously me going out there in March to Orlando, I'm really kind of analyze what we're talking about even right now with how Walt Disney World is kind of just grand, over the top, and it doesn't feel as home and you know, cozy as people think it is. But again, I've never been out there. I'm going to keep an open mind.
Yep.
But in all reality, just watching this video so far and just being at Disneyland probably over 1,000 times by now in my life, I feel that hominess here, and I, believe it or not, you know, I have trips planned, you know, covering the theme parks, and one of these years I am going to plan a trip to go to Disneyland Paris because I do want to experience this. And who knows, at the time, maybe you'll be able to come with me, because I know you and me would just vibe out at this park.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, I would love to go. That'd be great. And I'm really curious too, Conductor, your thoughts on the Disney World experience, you know, the Magic Kingdom and all that, because My take on Magic Kingdom might not necessarily be your take. I was not impressed with Magic Kingdom just because I'm so used to Disneyland and I just like the way Disneyland, the vibe is there. But now, mind you, at Disney World, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and even Hollywood Studios exceeded my expectation. It was just Magic Kingdom that I was felt a little flat for me, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm curious your take on it and your experience with it and how you feel about it. So it's when you do your trip, when you come back, we'll definitely do like a full blown like trip report discussion. Because I'm very curious how you walk away from that experience. I think you're really gonna love it. I mean, it's a different kind of vibe out there. It's much more of like a resort. The resorts are kind of like, it's not like out here in California, like it's the parks that are the focus, you know?
Yeah.
But out there in Florida, it's the parks, yeah, but it's also just like the resorts too. Like the resorts are destinations in and of themselves. So it's just a whole different beast. But yeah, I can't wait to hear your opinion on it. I think it's gonna be interesting.
So we don't film anything and get into trouble. But I really do enjoy how their train station is elongated, right? I'm counting 4 different ways to get up on top of the train platform. And that, again, reflects the same strategy that we saw out front. It's funny how they built this park to be able to handle such a massive scale. And then we all know that it didn't really live up to that demand in its opening years. But they're getting there. And did you just notice that little reveal we just walked through? Let's do it again. Look at this little cutaway in the roof and how that slowly and perfectly reveals the Grand Tower in this building. One of the interesting things about the Paris park is they had the challenge of not only trying to be at the level of Magic.
Now, I will also want to say this. I believe Eddie Soto, former Imagineer, was heavily involved in this Main Street, if I'm not mistaken. And I have to say, this is the most detail. Bricky's video right now is the most detail I've seen of this area. Like, obviously, it's Bricky. He's going to break this stuff down like no other, you know?
Oh,
but I am super impressed with what I'm seeing for their Main Street. And Eddie Soto, hats off to you, man. Like, crazy detail work here. Absolutely crazy. I love it.
Kingdom and Disneyland, but to also add in that Parisian design of massive attention to detail. Like, this is no easy design challenge to try to, do better or as well as Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, and the city of Paris. So the detailing here is phenomenal. And this little bizarre courtyard, just everywhere you look, it's perfectly thought out. Let's check out the other side. I love this little shop or storefront or whatever it is, just this little facade tucked between City Hall and the Storybook store where we're all used to seeing a fire station. And folks are lined up to meet Winnie the Pooh over here in the corner. And I wonder if where it says book your passages, is that also a backstage exit where parade vehicles can come and go? Be curious to know that one. And then, oh yes, I love seeing the nod to the fire department right here, where you can see one of the dogs from 101 Dalmatians. I don't know their names, apologize. That's great. Just a little shout out. Far left is the arcade that allows you to walk behind Main Street USA. But I love books, records, and toys. Yes, please. And we have a beautiful Christmas tree that, just like the one back home, has forced perspective, where just look at the glowing ornaments. Notice how big the one down here at eye level is. It's way bigger than a basketball. And then when you get up to the top, it's smaller than a basketball, just to make the make the Christmas tree look even bigger, and then also make sure that it stays within the scale of the forced perspective that surrounds it. Disneyland had a gazebo out front of it. I think it lasted, I don't know, maybe a week, and then Walt moved it out of his town square. Interesting to see a gazebo here at Disneyland Paris, and the spot where it was denied by Walt Disney himself back home in Disneyland. Love me a beautiful Disney Christmas tree. Here,
And that's the crazy thing too about Disney is that they've gotten to a point where now they're building parks around the world, and they got cruise lines and all this other stuff, so they can take ideas that maybe were never built or maybe that were built and taken away, and they can redo those same things elsewhere. So the gazebo, you know, Bricky was saying only lasted a week out here in Anaheim, but then they decided to build a gazebo out here in Paris. I do know there was design elements. I forgot what ship it is, but old Raleigh Crump design stuff from the Haunted Mansion was put into that Haunted Mansion bar. I forgot what ship it is, but it's just crazy to me how, like, you know, ideas never really go away at Disney. You know, even with the animated films, you know, Walt was trying to do Beauty and the Beast for years. He wanted to do the Little Mermaid. He wanted to do, you know, the Snow Queen, which ultimately ended up to be Frozen. It just kind of blows my mind how these ideas are there. Maybe they sit on a shelf for a while and then they eventually reemerge. So I don't know. That little gazebo thing kind of reminded me of that. It's pretty cool.
On the right side of Main Street in Town Square, we see a window for, I guess, you know, a portrait, the shadow portraits. But cleverly, that is the silhouette of Mr. Lincoln, who obviously isn't going to be in this park. But I love that there was a nod to the fire station and Mr. Lincoln, putting a little bit of Disneyland's layout in this exotic one. That's another great one right there. Oh my God, that's amazing. There is a Benjamin Franklin shout out right there for electric. We all get that one. But the fact that there's him on the corner, really on the building where Disneyland was supposed to open up the Edison Square and you'd be able to go back. And I believe there would be a thing about Ben Franklin back there. Just another little Disneyland kind of like wink, wink. And here is that second arcade. Don't worry, we'll be exploring these later. But if I know my Disney parks, this one on the right side is definitely a parade entry and opening spot. Awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, at the Magic Kingdom, there's a little bit of a shout out. Turn those lights back on. There's a shout out to bicycling or cycling on this exact corner. So funny to see the Kitty Hawk bike shop. And check this out. This arcade is to keep you dry. And then there is a tunnel that runs along the other side of Main Street. So you basically have a pretty safe and dry way to enter and exit the park. Beautiful window display. I love that. Oh man, look how cool this little nook here is.
Love that.
And shout out to the dentist here.
I mean, it's kind of incredible, right, Conductor? I mean, there is a lot. I haven't seen a breakdown of this area like this before.
You're
I mean,
right.
I've seen stuff coming out of Tokyo, obviously, when it comes to like Disney Sea, right? Like that park is insane.
Yeah.
I was not really expecting this from Disneyland Paris. I knew this park was great. I'm not saying I didn't know that. And I've seen pictures, but never this detailed of a breakdown. I'm kind of blown away, dude. This Main Street is definitely, dare I say it, better than the one we got. And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, but Walt Disney built ours. I get that. And it will always be Walt Disney's. And I love it for that. But this is way better visually.
Oh, man, I don't know. I have to agree with you, man. The detail, the artistic work, just everything. Oh my gosh. It's just enticing me more and more to visit this park.
100%, man.
So bad.
Pack your bags, book your PTO. We're going to go. Let's do it.
There you go.
Let's go.
There's not too different. The noises that we hear at the dentist over on West Street, over on the cross street of Disneyland. And it wouldn't be a Main Street without something to trip on. What a beautiful transportation hub with the dual doors. I'm assuming this is where their horse-drawn cart comes out.
I mean, really, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously beautiful. unbelievable.
And you know what's funny about this? As we're watching every little bit of Main Street, which is just absolutely phenomenal. Like something like this, it's weird. It's weird for me. It screams Walt Disney, like, Magic Kingdom vibes, but it doesn't at the same time. It's like extremely unique, but it's awesome.
Yeah. No, I know.
Crazy.
It's crazy. They really did learn, I think, from building Magic Kingdom, right? Because Magic Kingdom, and you'll see it in March, you'll see it in March, but Magic Kingdom is really cool. It is. It's really cool, but it's big and doesn't have the warmth. And I've said this so many times, but it's the truth. It doesn't feel cozy like this. Now, this one, they went big. This is way bigger than what we have out here, but it still feels like grandma's house. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
It's like super chill. I mean, I love it.
With the dual doors, I'm assuming this is where their horse-drawn cart comes out. Got the 1 and 2 line Main Street Transportation. That is a beautiful logo. And how could I not show Mickey and Minnie a Christmas gift, both in their little Santa suits? I'm feeling the spirit, guys. It's getting me. I'm feeling it. It's definitely getting me. Donald and Daisy trying to get on the action, and then Mando? He showed his face. He's kicked out. It is 9 a.m. The park is officially open. No, I don't care. I could wander around here all day long. I really don't care. That garland is top tier. Love all the colorful little Christmas ornaments. The candle inside of the Mickey wreath. Yeah. This, they absolutely nailed. Just look how big this is. I mean, it is absolutely massive. Massive. And so well put together. This Main Street doesn't disappoint. The detailing is so on point. It's unreal. Oh, it's snowing. Oh. Oh my God. Look at that.
Dude, I'm positive.
What?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, the way he is just speechless and he's just laughing and enjoying, and I don't even think that's the fake snow. I think that's real snow from the weather.
Could be.
I'm telling you right now, I think Eisner and the team built this park knowing that Bricky one day was going to visit it, because this is screaming vibes. Like,
oh, bro, this is like the final boss of vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is the final boss of vibes. Like, this is crazy. I mean, whether that's real snow, whether it's a Snope, I mean, the Christmas vibes here are insane. Like, literally, yeah, next level. And I thought Disneyland did it really well, and they do it really well, for sure. Yeah, but this is like final boss. Like, no one's touching this, dude. Like, this is Christmas on like a whole nother planet. This is wild to me.
Oh my God. It has been an unreal week. What a way to wrap it up. And there's snow on the lens. Oh my God. My little Christmas heart can't take it anymore. No. It's real snow, Dad. No, it's a machine. Oh my God. This is so great. They really are the makers of magic. One got me in the eye.
This is like every vibes guy like dream, dude.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, 2030, 2031, me and you probably have to plan a trip with Bricky, and all three of us just go there and nerd out, dude. I'm telling you right now.
I'm telling you, bro. I'll be doing the same thing that Bricky's doing. I won't go on a single ride. I'll just be sitting out there. And honestly, he actually went at the perfect time of year. And I know it's probably freezing out there. I'm sure it's freezing. But dude, for Christmas, that's the weather you want, you know? I mean, this is just perfect for Christmas.
Oh, it's just so good. The music, the decorations, the snow, the week I've had, and my love for Disney. What a moment. I'm already at a loss of words. That was that was a lot. That was a lot for my little heart all at once. Is that Mrs. Claus and a Christmas guy?
And it makes you wonder, conductor. It makes you wonder. Look what they've done with this park, right? Look what they've done with this park. Look what they've done with this Main Street. How gorgeous it is. How amazing. They are going to have pretty much a blank check with that new Abu Dhabi park.
Oh yeah.
What in the world is that going to look like, dude? There is no budget for that, basically.
No.
It's going to be insane. Absolutely insane.
Amazing. I love her outfit. Look at those green boots. Amazing. This is such a smart way to do meet and greets, where each one of the different spokes that comes up to this hub, she can walk up to the rope, she can pose with the kids, everybody gets a photo, there's nobody in the background. That's genius. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with myself. It's so awesome. A new Disney park, the holidays, the decorations, everybody being excited. This is, if I left right now, I'd be like, yeah, that was an amazing trip. I spotted a window dedicated to Michael Eisner and Frank Wells. I like that it's the Main Street Marching Band, as if they were the ones that really were the marching band to carry on this project. And then the Main Street Gazette giving a shout out to Walt Disney's first job of being a paper boy.
Wow.
We can see those two chimneys up there that flank that top facade. That's where the snow machines are, but wrapped in little fake brick smokestacks. That's great. Hey, they go hard. They go hard on their Snoke. Let's explore the side street, because I love the nooks and crannies. Oh, look at that. Liberty Court. Not a Liberty Square, but a Liberty Court and a stained glass window of the Statue of Liberty. That's very cool. I'm assuming that takes me to the arcade. Let's check out.
I could be mistaken, but if my history... If I'm correct on my history, I believe wasn't the Statue of Liberty gifted to us from France? I believe it was.
Yeah, it was.
It was, right? Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. So that's actually a beautiful tribute on so many levels.
Oh, by far.
Being in the Paris park, I love that, because it pays tribute to, the Disney parks with the Liberty, the Americana. But then specifically the Statue of Liberty being gifted to us from France, and this park being in Paris, France. I just think that's such a cool nod. It's a nod to Disney with but it's a nod to just our friendships between the two countries too. Gorgeous.
Yeah, this takes us right into the arcade, which is beautiful. But I'm not there mentally yet.
That real quick.
Yeah.
So go back where he shows that hallway. real quick if you can.
Yeah, I got you, brother. Let me go
See.
back a little bit. Okay,
Okay.
right here.
Yeah, it's good enough. Look, okay, so just a hallway. Okay, just a hallway. Look at the detail that went into this hallway. And we're not talking about Avengers hallway like Bricky likes to joke around at DCA.
No.
No. Look at the detail. I'm just like I'm like culture shocked right now.
Bro,
This is a hallway serving a purpose from getting from one area to another area of their main street, and the detail is insane. It almost screams to me walking through Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, the detail. Just walking on the game floor, walking between areas.
yeah, no, very much so. I mean, or even like if you were to tell me, because I'm not familiar with this Paris park that to
Sure.
like a detailed degree, right? I know generalities of this park, but I don't know like little nooks and crannies like this and that or whatever. If you showed me this and I had no idea where it was, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the White House.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it's beautiful, man, and it feels of the, oh man, dude, it's crazy how this is in a theme park, conductor. This is in a theme park. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Beautiful. But I'm not there mentally yet. I want to soak up Main Street and look at all these beautiful little buildings. This is what Disneyland's been missing. A nice, solid location dedicated to Lillian. Lily's Boutique.
I love that.
I love that. I feel like there should be a Lillian statue somewhere in the parks. Would be a smart move.
you know that is a smart move. I like that. We have Walt, obviously. We have Roy, which is Roy and Minnie sitting on the bench. Which actually you were just recently at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, so you saw that statue there. They also have that statue at the Magic Kingdom in Florida.
Yes.
So that's really cool. And I want to have you back on again. Speaking of your Disney studio trip, I want to have you back on to kind of pick your brain on that, because that was your first time there. And I've been a couple of times, a few times. That experience is crazy. So we'll that's for another day. But Bricky has a great idea there, though. Like, let's get a Lillian statue. That was the love of Walt's life. And
Absolutely.
there's no statue or something like, right?
You would honestly think, because just recently we got Lillian etched on a window, like her name and all that, on our main street.
Right.
But I couldn't agree with you more. It would be a fitting tribute to have maybe Walt and Lillian together as a statue, or maybe have how you have Walt and Mickey. Well, you have Lillian and Minnie. Something like that.
I would love that. That'd be great. And you would kind of maybe do it. Yeah, you would have a similar approach to the Roy statue, where she's maybe on a bench with Minnie, with some maybe like a little basket of flowers or something. I don't know. But I think that Bricky, that is a brilliant idea. Okay, that is absolutely brilliant. Disney, if you come across this video, or hopefully you come across Bricky's video, or do it. I mean, that would be absolutely perfect.
When we look over on the other cross street, look how beautifully all those facades come together, creating that dead end that just really puts us in the mindset that we are fully enclosed in Main Street, USA. Oh, I love that it's called Flower Street, as a nod to the original days of Disneyland, when flowers were sold on.
Yes, no, that's true. The flowers were sold on Main Street, but it's also, I think, a nod to Imagineering in Glendale, which I believe is on 1400 Flower Street.
Yes.
I know it's Flower Street. I don't know if it's 1400, but I think it might be. But anyway, he's right. It's a nod to the flower shop at Disneyland, but I also think it's a nod to Imagineering, which is pretty cool.
Our cross street.
Let me actually back up a little bit, because I cut him off like mid-sentence. I want him to kind of explain that flower stuff. I think that's pretty cool.
Closed in Main Street, USA. Oh, I love that it's called Flower Street, as a nod to the original days of Disneyland, when flowers were sold on our cross street. It is adorable back here. Ah, and there's the arcade again. Oh, look at this little slice of paradise.
That's crazy.
Oh my, what a cute little courtyard. I'm so excited that I spent the week traveling all around Europe, or the last 2 weeks actually, and I'm finished with Disneyland because I now have a much better understanding of the design challenges that this park had to reach. And I'm seeing, like when you know that Colmar is a thing, you kind of have to really go hard with your theme park. And I'm understanding now just the magnitude of what that challenge was. And I mean, they hit it hard. I'm a local. I'm hanging on this porch,
There you go.
watching the arcade traffic just go by. Oh, do I wish this place was serving a hot coffee.
See,
Everything
okay.
I love about the park.
I have to stop it here because, he makes an excellent point, saying about wishing that they sold hot coffee. But the fact that they built it like a storefront, they put all the decor, the awning with the wording, the window setups, even though it's not a functional coffee stop, the fact they went into detail with that, and then this view right here. Most people, I guarantee you, in Disneyland Paris don't even walk in this back corner. So the fact that they went inch by inch to sit there and go into detail,
Oh,
even all the way into the back corner that probably no one ever goes into, guest wise, it's just incredible.
it's
It, it
incredible.
it shows the craftsmanship. It shows the dedication they put into this park. That's after watching this video, because I couldn't agree with you more. I've never seen a detailed video about Disneyland Paris, especially their main street. I'm sure Bricky's going to have more videos on this. I'm sure this is not the only one, but it kind of makes me wonder why in the mid 90s and even to the late 90s, early 2000s, that at the time it was called Euro Disney, now Disneyland Paris, failed so miserably when you have this type of architecture and detail just in their main street. And
Yeah.
this is just Main Street. This is not even the rest of the park. This is not the castle. This is not any other, area of Disneyland Paris. And it's just like I want to go visit Disneyland Paris now just for their main street, and I can only imagine what other areas of the theme park's going to be, and the
I
castle
agree.
itself.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. It was definitely a slow burn in terms of its success. I think initially the people the locals didn't want it. It was a huge controversy. I remember even the farmers and stuff would park their tractors blocking, the entrance and in protest. I mean, it was a big deal back then when they opened this thing in 92. People did not want this in their backyard. But over the years, I think people started to go to it and they started to fall in love with it. And I could see why. I mean, it's freaking gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. The amount of detail, and there people give a lot of shit to Michael, to Michael Eisner for his last 10 years at Disney. And believe me, there was a lot of problems those last 10 years,
Sure.
But I'm telling you, those first 10 years were magic, dude. I mean, he created some of the most amazing stuff. Not him personally, but on his watch, there were some of the most amazing stuff that came out of the Walt Disney Company. Some stuff even rivaled Walt Disney's era. And I've said this before. I mean, this Main Street, honestly, I think does a better job than our Main Street. I mean, to be completely real, even the movies, in the Michael Eisner era, like Beauty and the Beast, I think is a better animated film than a lot of the animated films even Walt Disney made. The Michael Eisner first 10 years was absolutely insane, dude. It was insane. What him and Frank Wells and Howard Ashman and that whole era, what they accomplished was nothing short of an absolute miracle, bro.
It's just right here. The attention to detail, the forced perspective, the dead end, the three planes of storytelling, It's all right here. I think I prefer this big tent instead of all the little small ones for each table that don't really end up covering anything. Here it comes again, but this time I'm emotionally prepared. Not going to cry this time. I'll probably cry. Yep, it's gonna be.
But you know what's funny too? You and I at the beginning, we weren't even sure if it was real snow or not, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like the cloud cover. Maybe it's the cloud cover and some of it's blending in. But the way that the snow is distributed even seems better than how it is out here. Like out here, it looks like they're like launching them out of a leaf blower.
Yeah.
Like it's obviously coming out of a machine, right?
By far.
With this, yeah, but with this though, it's like it's so evenly spread out, and it's not like just shooting out of a cannon on top of these buildings. It's very natural looking.
It's
Like,
crazy.
yeah, like you can tell out here, it's like, okay, it's coming out of the nozzle, right?
Yeah.
Right. But out here, it's like I can't even tell. And I don't know like if it's because it's kind of foggy and stuff, but man, it's so realistic looking. It's crazy.
Friends, I hope you enjoyed exploring the Grand Entryway and Main Street, USA. Come back tomorrow. We'll do Adventureland, Frontierland, and Fantasyland.
Okay, so yeah, he's gonna do more videos on this, conductor. You know, we do this this week in Disney every week. These videos are gonna be something I think we're gonna do a lot of reactions to because this park, right?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, just the fact that he only covered the entryway, the little park outside the entryway, and Main Street. I'm almost speechless how beautiful it is. I'm not even kidding. And that hotel, not to go off, Disney's subject, but that hotel is something we are looking forward to at Universal Studios Hollywood, because
That's
they're
true.
going to be building the same type of concept where there's a hotel right there, right at the entrance, and you walk right through it to get into the park because it's all going to be enclosed. And I've actually seen pictures and little videos here and there of that hotel where it's like I think it's like one of the suites that you can, stay at, and you can book it, and literally it has like almost like a Juliet balcony you can go at, and you can see the castle full on with the projections, the just fireworks, the drone show. Oh my god. If you ever get a chance to watch it on YouTube, I definitely recommend it. Now that we reviewed part one, I'm going to say part one of this because, like you said, me and you are going to react to many more of Bricky from Disneyland Paris by far. But I'm telling you right now, if you watch that one video, if you YouTube it, you're going to go like, oh my God, I need to stay here.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So I want to give a big shout to Bricky. This is his secondary channel, the Bricky Vlog. Amazing content. Bricky, this video is absolutely incredible. And as a vibes guy, this really did blow my mind. So big shout out and big thank you for Bricky for making this amazing video. I'll be linking the Bricky Vlog and his main channel, Hey Bricky, down below. I'll also be linking Five Fires Mondo, another great, fantastic content creator. I want to thank both of these gentlemen for all they do. Great dudes, great content. Make sure you follow, support them if you don't already. Mr. Conductor, speaking of friends and great content creators, I appreciate you, sir. I love doing these breakdowns with you every single week. If you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media so they could, support you as well, man.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for always having me on. I think it's a great series that we are doing on Orange Go 55. And you know, who's to say that we won't do more series on Orange Go 55 and Theme Park Conductor? Because I kind of feel like me and you have that connection where we love talking about this stuff. It's awesome. And you know, again, I'm going to be having Bricky on with you on Theme Park Conductor sometime in January to break down my trip to Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando for my very first time. So you definitely know after watching this first video, part 1 of Disneyland Paris, you know I'm gonna scratch his brain about that one because I need to hear detail because I'm just astonished on what he filmed so far, and I cannot wait to see more. But again, I want to thank Orange Go 55, always a great friend, always a great content creator. He creates such great videos. He's always on Theme Park Conductor on my live streams, and he's just such an awesome guy. Please go subscribe and follow him on YouTube and his socials. Just absolutely incredible. But you can find me, Theme Park Conductor, on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can also find me on TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1, and every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream where we break down Universal, Disneyland news. We talk about rumors and speculations about those parks, events coming to the parks, and now I guess I'm gonna be diving into this Bricky Paris stuff because now I'm hooked. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 with his wild, wicked hair and his past edition Clark Kent glasses, which I absolutely love. And we have so many other amazing guests as we break this stuff down. And the chat really does help with that. They interact and we interact back. So it's a great time.
Yep. No, well said. Make sure you subscribe to Theme Park Conductor on YouTube. You'll see the option down by the subscribe button. You'll see Theme Park Conductor. You can also check it out in the description, Theme Park Conductor. So make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel and follow him on his social media. I want to thank Conductor. I want to thank everybody that watched today or in days ahead that, you know, on the replay. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Bricky and Mondo for being amazing as well. And until next time, everybody, see you later.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish. And because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today. Mwah.